Hey everyone, and welcome back to Zero Escape 999. 9 persons, 9 hours, 9 doors. Last time, we had a bit of a long one as we were getting started here on this ship. We met our crew of 9, now 8, as one has already died. And no one's coping very well. No one is coping well indeed. June appears to be very ill, and the shock of a man exploding in front of us probably did not help things. And now, an hour has passed. We are 1 hour into our 9 hours on this sinking ship. The clock in the central hall was ringing. 7, 8, 9, 10 times. And then, on the 10th ring, it stopped. The sound of the bell faded away into silence. It's 10 o'clock then. A said what each one of them had been thinking. That means it's been an hour since Zero's little announcement. 7's deep voice echoed across the room. Fuck! I've had enough of this crap! Santa leapt to his feet, his fists clenched. How long are we gonna pussyfoot around like this? We've only got 8 hours until this time limit Zero's going on about is up. Let's get going already! Go! Go! Santa's outburst fell on deaf ears. No one seemed to agree with him. They stared back at him, their eyes blank and their faces tired. I mean, we just saw a man explode when he followed Zero's instructions, so I don't know what you're expecting us to do, Santa. Finally, Lotus spoke. No, I refuse. I'm not going to end up like him. Him? You mean the 9th man? Of course. Who else? In his mind's eye, Junpei saw the corpse again. The dark, reddish-black pool of blood. The scattered pieces of flesh. Organs strewn across the floor like the blossoming of a grotesque flower. Stop describing it! The explosion that had torn through his body had been powerful. The 9th man's neck had been twisted in an odd angle. Stop! Please! Oh god. They're not even showing it and I hate this. Junpei suspected the detonation had thrown him against the... God, stop! I have to read it all out. It's just the way I do this. Half of his face was crushed and the other half was covered in blood. Most of his abdomen had been emptied either by explosion or by... He had landed on his back and stark white ribs jutted up out of his chest like the legs of some sort of macabre crab. Junpei felt something flip in his stomach. I think he just screwed up. Eyebrows went up and Santa continued. He probably set off some sort of trap and that killed him. I'm not gonna screw up like that. I'm getting out of here alive. Whatever Snake was laughing at, Santa did not find particularly humorous. What's so goddamn funny? Oh, my apologies. You were just so very confident. I couldn't help myself. What the fuck? I think you've mistaken the situation. Huh? The 9th man's death. It had nothing to do with a trap, or at least not the sort of trap you imagine it did. Then? He broke one of Zero's rules. That was why he died. Quite simple if you think about it. Huh? You still don't? Alright. How about you take a moment and think back to what Zero said. Specifically, what did he say about the number of people? He said only 3 to 5 people can pass through one numbered door, right? And after that, you've forgotten the relevant part. What did Zero say? Santa furrowed his brow in thought. Junpei thought back. Zero said that everyone who verified had to go. All those who enter must leave, and all who enter must contribute. Right? I think it was something like that. Whatever it was, it means that groups of less than 3 or more than 5 can't go through. That is correct. A gold star for you, Junpei. Snake inclined his head toward Junpei. The 9th man, however, broke this rule. He tried to pass through a numbered door by himself. That was why he was executed. Snake, I don't like how calm you are about this, but also that makes a lot of sense. But also, I don't like how calm you are about this. Then Zero's watching us from somewhere. Making sure we don't break any rules. Oh, I'm not so sure of that. Why not? Because this execution system is entirely automatic. You didn't notice? There's no need for him to monitor us. What do you mean? Snake looked at Seven with what could only be described as pity inside. Snake is a little bit full of himself, I will admit. Very well. I see it must be me who tells you. I've waited long enough, I suppose. I had hoped Zero might spare me the trouble, but that seems increasingly unlikely. He couldn't see them, of course, but perhaps Snake sensed the confused eyes upon them. When he spoke, he gave words to everyone else's thoughts. Do you know something? Well, I know a great many things, but yes. What is it you know? Here. Snake removed the card from the pocket of his jacket. With a flourish, he presented it to Ace, who took a close look at it and spoke. Come on now, what's the point of giving me this? Give me that. Santa snatched the card from Ace, but his expression of disgust quickly turned to one of confusion. Huh? What the hell is this? Seven tugged it out of Santa's hands. Heh, I see. The card went from Seven to Lotus, from Lotus to June, and finally to Junpei. He looked at it and understood. This is Braille. Braille, the written language of the blind. The card was covered with small embossed bumps. Actually, I have a question for anyone who is blind. On the second thought, there's a good chance not watching this video. But I do have a question for people who know about this. Braille, I believe it directly transliterates to Latin letters? Is Braille just a way of transcribing English into bumps? Or rather, languages that use Latin letters into bumps. Are there variations of it for other languages? Or is it more like sign languages where it is a specific separate language that doesn't directly transliterate or translate? I am curious about that. If anyone happens to know, I can look it up myself, but if anyone happens to know, I'd love to hear. Junpei could recognize it, but he certainly couldn't read it. Sorry guys, I can't read this. Junpei handed the card back to Snake, who nodded at him with a small smirk. Okay, that was fun. What's so important about that card? I found it in my pocket. I can only assume that it's a message from Zero. From Zero? A message? What does it say? Suddenly, everyone was crowding around Snake, desperate to hear what the message said. Don't crowd the poor dude! Santa especially looked as if you were about to grab hold of Snake and shake the answers from him. Snake raised his hand. Calm down now. No need to panic. You don't need to force me, I'll read it. Junpei swallowed hard and waited for him to start. He was not the only one. Presently, Snake began to read, his voice calm. His fingers glided over the tiny bumps as he spoke. Bracelet number 2. Since you are not blessed with sight, I shall bless you, and only you, with information. I shall tell you of the function of the red, of the dead, and of the bracelet. The red is a recognition device. Wait, maybe I should use Zero's voice for this. The red is the recognition device. It will verify your number. Beside every numbered door, you will find a red. The dead is a deactivation device. It does exactly what it says. Once you have passed through the numbered door, you must use the dead to stop the detonator in your bracelet. But perhaps you are wondering, what does this detonator detonate? I'm afraid this may be something of a surprise. I have placed a small bomb inside of you and the people whom you are about to meet. You swallowed it while you were unconscious. I have no doubt that by the time you read this note, the bomb will have passed through your stomach and found its way to your small intestine. In other words, you will be unable to regurgitate it. I suggest you do not try. As I mentioned before, the bracelet on your left hand contains a detonator. Think of it as a remote fuse or timer for the bomb in your body. There's only one condition which will cause it to detonate. That condition is that you enter a numbered door. Once you have done so, the timer will activate, no matter who you may be. You'll have 81 seconds. If, after that time, the detonator has not been deactivated, it will send a signal to the bomb in your body, instructing it to explode. Of important note, 81 is 9 squared. I bring this up, and you can probably start to guess why. and you'll start to see more of that as we proceed. In order to deactivate the detonator, every person who verified their number at the red must also verify their numbers at the dead. Once all numbers have been verified by the dead, you need to only pull the lever at its side and the countdown will cease. Anyone who does not verify their number at the red will find themselves unable to verify their number at the dead. That is to say, if you should pass through a numbered door without first verifying your number at the red, in 81 seconds you will be dead. You must also keep in mind that the numbered doors will close automatically after 9 seconds have passed. So long as the door is open, the dead will not function. You would do well to remember this. Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only 2 ways to do so. 1, you escape from the ship. 2, your heart rate reaches 0. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside the confines of the ship, or detects that its wearer's heartbeat has fallen to 0, it will shut down automatically. There's no other way to remove your bracelet. If you attempt to force it off, or disable the detonator, the bomb within you will immediately explode. This is all the information which I can impart to you. This is a thoroughly thought out system. By making sure that if you go through the numbered door, your detonator will activate, well, your bracelet will activate, that ensures that only people who verify at the red are technically able to safely go through, because those are the only people who are able to deactivate at the dead. That's really, really clever. That prevents extra people from going in because they won't be able to scan their number at the dead and deactivate their bracelet. And you can't have fewer people go through because either you need enough people to open the door in the first place, or if fewer people go through than actually scan their bracelets, they can't deactivate their bracelets because they need all of them. And so they'll die. But if you don't go through the door, your detonator doesn't activate. That is very thoroughly thought out. I hate it. It's obviously horrifying, but I respect the amount of detail that Zero is putting into this. My god, he has everything covered. How you choose to use it is for you to decide. If used wisely, you can eliminate those who might be a danger to you. For a time, you would be able to control your fate. I wish you the best of luck. Well, it seems Snake decided to give up all the power he has in this. I respect that and appreciate it, as much as he's a little bit high and mighty and a little bit full of himself. I appreciate he gave up that leverage immediately. Wish he'd given it up a bit sooner, but I don't think the Knife Man would have been convinced. Snake finished reading and carefully returned the card to his pocket. The message had been lengthy, but its meaning was clear. Only those who verified their numbers at the red could pass through the numbered doors. Teams could not increase or decrease their numbers. The Reds, Deads, and Bracelets enforced the rules. They were judge, jury, and executioner. In defiance of Zero's suggestions, both Santa and Seven put their fingers down their throats and began to gag. No. If he's right and it's in your small intestine, you're not puking that back up. You're not getting that bomb out until probably after we get off the ship, honestly. The rest stiffened. Some touched their stomachs. Some simply stared at their bracelets. Junpei gingerly touched his stomach. There was a bomb inside his body. The thought of it made him queasy. His stomach felt oddly hollow and his legs were weak. Yeah, I'd probably be on the ground at this point. Why had Zero designed such a ludicrous game? Junpei looked over at the others. Alright, I'm gonna ask one more time. Do any of you know anything about Zero? They were all silent, each person waiting to hear what the others would say. Finally, Santa spoke. Actually, I saw him. I saw Zero when I got grabbed. I didn't see his face, though. Son of a bitch was wearing some kind of gas mask. That sounds familiar. What the hell? Come on, guys, give me something. You know, like surprise or something. Instead, it was Santa who looked surprised. There was a moment of silence, and then everyone spoke at once. Yeah, I saw him too. Me too. He was wearing a gas mask. As stories were sorted out, the truth became clear. All of their stories were the same. They had been abducted at home at midnight. The person claiming to be Zero had worn a mask. There had been white smoke, and then each person had passed out. When they awoke, they had found themselves on D deck in a room with a 3-level bunk bed. Only Seven's story seemed to lack the detail of the others. Oh, me? Yeah, well, mine was just like the rest of yours. That was all he had said. It occurred to Junpei at the time that it sounded somewhat strange, but he didn't press the issue. He hadn't done so because there was something that struck him as even stranger. That was the mystery of the relationship between Snake and Clover. For some reason, they had been abducted from the same room and woken up in the same room. Junpei looked at them thoughtfully. So what's the deal with the two of you anyway? It was Clover that answered. Clearly, she felt she had nothing to hide. We're siblings. Siblings? Yes? Snake is my older brother, obviously. So that means I'm his little sister. I think Snake's 21? I think he's about the same age as Junpei. I'm not remembering the ages very well off the top of my head, though. That really so hard to understand? Junpei was taken aback. The others seemed just as surprised. She is correct, of course. He laid his hand on Clover's shoulder. Are you surprised? I guess this explains why Clover was not at all surprised by Snake being blind. Well, yeah, but... Why? There are other people who hear with connections to one another. Those two, for instance. Snake pointed at Junpei and June. Oh, you mean between Junpei and me? Ah, yes. You did say you were childhood friends, didn't you? You went to school together? Yeah. June glanced at Junpei, uncomfortable with the sudden attention. Junpei felt somewhat nervous as well and tried to scratch his head as casually as possible. Hey, you think we could maybe figure out who Zero is this way? Yeah, you're right. You connect the dots between the victims and that leads you to the perp. Textbook stuff. Junpei, June, does any of this ring a bell? Ring a bell? Ring a bell? They looked at one another. And like it was staged, they both tilted their neck at the same time. Well, perhaps you went to school with the son of a multimillionaire? A millionaire? Son? Well, someone bought this boat and set up all of this. Whoever Zero is, they must be incredibly rich. Well, we can't be sure of that. To me, this seems as though it's the work of an organization, not an individual. Zero is most likely simply the representative of a larger group. What sort of organization? It could be a number of things. An army, perhaps, or a research group. Perhaps this is all just some sort of psychological experiment. If it is, that's a pretty fucked up experiment. I mean, come on, a guy's dead! The word dead hung in the air, heavy and ominous. The room went quiet again. I don't know who the hell this Zero asshole is, but I know for sure he's gotta be pretty fucked up in the head to do all this. If this is all one guy, then he's got some serious issues. Even with the specter of death hanging over them, their discussions continued for some time. In the end, however, they learned nothing. By the time they had finished, 1.5 of their 9 hours were gone. All they had to show for it was impatience. Man, look, we only got 7.5 hours left, okay? You really sure you just want to sit around? No one was willing to argue this time. Very well then. There's only one way for us to proceed. Sure not gonna be fun running around knowing when we gotta jump when Zero says to jump. Well, it's stupid to just sit around here doing nothing. Thanks to Snake's card, at least we have some idea of how this all works. Correct, and so long as we follow the rules, we will most likely be alright. But what? Who's going to go in which door? June looked towards the numbered doors. Oh yeah, that's right. We can't have any more than 5 people in one door. All 8 of us can't go in the same door. Then it will seem we have to split up. Wait! Lotus looked terrified. I'm telling you now, there is no way in hell I am going into door 5. Come now, don't be selfish. Call me whatever the hell you want, I'm not going in there. If I'm gonna have to walk through all that blood, then I'd rather stay here. And we were doing so well. Ace shook his head sadly. Sorry, but I ain't going in there either. Someone else can go into door 5. Oh, Santa, not you too. Hey man, I just bought these shoes. If you think I'm getting some creepy dude's blood all over them, you got another thing coming. That was the last straw. What the hell, man? Weren't you the one who kept saying we should get going? Yeah? So? Doesn't mean I wanted to go into door 5. Oh, God. There was an awkward silence. This is off to a great start, isn't it? So much cooperation here. Finally, 7 spoke. Fine. I'll go into door 5. I can't go in there alone, though. Anyone else willing to come with me? There was another long silence. This time Snake was the one to break it. I'll go. What? Don't worry, you'll be fine. We may part now, but I'm certain we'll meet again later. How do you know that? Because I do. That's not an answer! If you're going, I'm going too. I'm going into door 5. What am I going to do with you? There's nothing you have to do. Ace stepped forward. If I join you, the problem is solved, correct? 7 is 7, and Snake is 2. And if you add Clover's 4 and my 1, the digital root will be 5. Just checking that. 7 and 2 is 9. 4 and 1 is 5. 9 and 5 is 5. Yep, that checks out. 7 plus... Oh, thank you. 7 plus 2 plus 4 plus 1 is 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. Oh, it works perfectly! The 4 of us can go into door 5. Wait. What about the other 4? What's their digital root gonna be? I'll just give you a hint right off the bat. If you add up all the numbers 1 to 9, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, you know what? Let's pull out the calculator. If you are to add up all of the numbers 1 to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All 9 of us together makes a digital root of 9. Without number 9, since he's, oops, we'll just add the 6 in there. Again, it doesn't matter too much the order. If we do just the 8 who are alive, we get a digital root of 9. It's very convenient. And so long, there's a lot of fun math behind this game. It just so happens that digital roots are mathematically equivalent to something called modular 9, mod 9 arithmetic, which is, modular arithmetic is very fun, and I actually took an entire class on it for my computer science degree. But since it happens to be completely by coincidence the same as modular 9 arithmetic, there's actually a lot of mathematical properties you can actually use for figuring stuff out in this game in advance, which is fun. But the most important and relevant thing here is that so long as the digital root of the doors matches the digital root of the people who have to go through doors, everyone can go through a door, with the caveat that we have to be able to divide into groups of 3 to 5. And if you take a look at the doors that we have available, figure out their digital root and you'll be able to see how this is going to play out. Junpei did a quick mental calculation. Lotus, Santa, June, and Junpei remained. Their bracelet numbers were 8, 3, 6, and 5. 8, 3, 6, 5. What would their digital root be? 8 plus 3 is 11. 6 plus 5 is also 11. So that's 11, 11. That totals up to 4. 8 plus 3 plus 6 plus 5 is 22. 2 plus 2 is 4. He repeated what he determined. It's 4. Add up our 4 bracelet numbers and the digital root is 4. Then we can go into door 4. Yeah, that worked out well. Junpei ran over the team assignments in his head one more time. I don't know if I'd say it worked out well. I would almost say it's like it's by design. 4 people would go into door 5. 7, Snakes, Clover, and Ace. 4 people would go into door 4. Lotus, Santa, June, and Junpei. Junpei had to ask himself if the teams were really what he had wanted. Beyond door 5 was what remained of the 9th man. He never wanted to see that thing again, but something in him said that it would be unwise not to examine the corpse even a little closer. Of course, if he went through door 5, he wouldn't be going with Lotus and Santa. True, it'd be possible for him to bring June with him through door 5, but that would mean she'd have to see the horrific carnage that waited there. Junpei didn't want that. Junpei was torn. Should he stay silent and go through door 4? Or should he stop them all and insist on door 5? As he turned his options over and over in his mind, Ace spoke up. Alright then. It seems we've reached a conclusion. Shall we go? He began to walk towards door 5. Clover and Snake followed with 7 a short distance behind. Junpei. And now we have a choice. We can choose to go through door 4, or we can interrupt and try to go through door 5. Next time on Zero Escape 999, much shorter than the previous one, I will try to keep episodes about this length, unless we're doing an escape room, in which case I'm going to try and do one escape room in one episode. But I'm going to try and keep episodes about this length from here on. Next time on Zero Escape 999, we're going to pick which door that we are going to be going through first. I will see everyone next time for that.